It's 9:30 on this Wednesday morning, and I found myself with just enough time to swing into Peters Hill, just to the west of Harper's Ferry. This is eastbound mixed freight train M40908, which operates daily between Selkirk, New York and Waycross, Georgia, running over Norfolk Southern trackage between Philadelphia and Hagerstown due to the Howard Street tunnel closure in Baltimore. In February of 2025, CSX closed their I-95 corridor in Baltimore to lower the tracks running underneath the city in the Howard Street tunnel, along with under some low bridges. These are the last bottlenecks preventing CSX from running double-stack intermodal trains on their vital I-95 corridor between Florida and New York City, which will increase the capacity of these trains and allow CSX to compete with Norfolk Southern, whose route is already cleared for double-stack trains. The project is expected to be completed in Q4 of 2025. This train is one of many consisting of rerouted traffic taking longer routes to New York, with most running west through Cumberland, Pittsburgh, and then taking an easterly turn through Cleveland and Buffalo. CSX does have the aforementioned trackage rights deal on the Norfolk Southern through Harrisburg, but that is only for 4 trains a day. From Peters Hill, it was 15 miles west to Martinsburg, West Virginia, where I knew I would be able to set up for eastbound coal drag C78408, bound for Curtis Bay in Baltimore to the west of the Howard Street tunnel closure. Following closely behind on main number 2 is M40711, another Waycross-bound mixed freight, this one originating out of Cumberland with more rerouted I-95 corridor traffic. A 40-mile-per-hour speed restriction has been put into effect just to the east, so M40711 is creeping eastward while waiting for the dispatcher to issue them an EC1 authority through the limits. An EC1 form is CSX's version of a track warrant, so in this case it will provide verbal permission by the dispatcher to run through the restriction at no more than 40 miles per hour. Part of CSX's improvements to increase capacity for the Howard Street Tunnel and accommodate trains like M407 was the construction of a brand new Apex switching system in their Cumberland, Maryland yard. To find out more about that, check out this video right here.
Shepherd has BA transit permission. East number 2 track crossing the number 1, 25 mile an hour from the BA 1 series limits from the BA 113.7 to the BA 113.4. Over.
14 more miles west, and we are at Cherry Run, West Virginia, where the CSX Lurgan Subdivision connects with the Cumberland Subdivision. Today is apparently a busy day for maintenance of lake crews, and here at Cherry Run is no different. Crews are working on grinding a switch junction, and eastbound auto rack M27608 has already been given permission through their work limits. Here's a good reminder to everyone. If you ever see a problem or an emergency at a railroad crossing, look for the little blue sign on the crossing gates or the crossbuck. It will give you the phone number to call and the road number to report, and it's as simple as that. "20 minutes later, in Chambersburg Intermodal I-115 is heading west over the Potomac River, preparing to hold short of the Cherry Run interlocking for another intermodal train. That train is a newcomer to the Cumberland Subdivision, I-19510, running between Chicago, Illinois, and Savannah, Georgia.
Limits. The BA 113.4, BA 113.7, that's 25 mile an hour. That's a good copy at 11:39, over. 11:39, thanks, sir.
Runs off the main to 1 track, CSXT, medium clear cherry around CSXT, 3217 out.
After receiving permission through the work limits, I-11511 throttles up and out of town.
West Main, center ring. Gang plans work towards 3217.
Another hour west, and I am arriving into Magnolia, West Virginia, home to the Baltimore and Ohio's Magnolia Cutoff. I will go into more depth on the Magnolia Cutoff and the Cumberland Subdivision as a whole in a future project, so for now, let's watch some trains. With Baltimore and Ohio lettering still showing through on the Kessler Bridge, M372 makes their way east, just as I arrived. The Magnolia Cutoff was constructed to relieve the Baltimore and Ohio of steep grades and sharp curvature on their lines between Paw Paw and Orleans Crossroads, and was completed in 1914. Graham Tunnel is one of 4 that were newly built during construction, and is the only segment of the Magnolia Cutoff in Maryland. From where I am standing at Kesslers Curve is West Virginia, and so too is the other side of the tunnel once it crosses the Potomac River and into Magnolia.
Copy that, I-135, the 11 leader, 545. You got to enter your permission. Westbound, number 1 track, mine's higher authority, BA 145.3 down to the 147.9. That's all max speed, over.
At 14:54, intermodal train I-13511 brings international containers west from the Port of Virginia, bound for North Baltimore, Ohio. Leading the train is a pair of classic yellow nose 2 AC-44s. not too far behind I-135, is mixed freight train M40810, another train with rerouted traffic due to the Howard Street tunnel closure. It is the counterpart of that M407 we saw at Martinsburg earlier. The train is seen crossing the mighty Potomac River, which has cut its meandering path through the mountainous landscape over millions of years. Today, the Potomac serves as the border between Maryland and West Virginia and Virginia for much of its length. By now, I had already heard about some heritage units en route on Norfolk Southern's H-line, and with no other trains nearby on the cutoff, that's where I would go. After about an hour's drive, I would arrive in Berryville just in time to see 289 heading south out of the siding. No heritage units in sight just yet, though. Just plain old C6Ms. "30 minutes later, and 27A is doing all of track speed with hot intermodal for Atlanta, Georgia, out of Rutherford, Pennsylvania. Another hour of waiting would pursue until Train 16T brings the Tennessee, Alabama, and Georgia Heritage Unit north, albeit trailing. Check out this video here if you want to see it leading Train 15T down the H line. Close behind 16T is 12R with the New York Central also trailing. Surely I didn't drive all this way just for trailing heritage units, right? Well, you would be correct. Finally coming south after being held up at Shenandoah Junction by those two northbounds is 40K, a loaded grain train passing through the last rays of sunlight. In charge of the train bound for Harrisonburg is NS 4822, painted to honor Norfolk Southern's employees. You know, the ones I care so much about, right? I hope you enjoyed today's adventure into some new territory for me. As I mentioned earlier, I'm currently working on a video documenting the entire length of the Cumberland Subdivision, including the Magnolia Cutoff. I will go into more detail on the history of the line then, and just so you know, this project is definitely not close to being complete. So until then, join me in a couple weeks as we do more heritage hunting, this time on CSX and their Lurgan Subdivision. Until next time, this is Commonwealth Rail, out.